Hi, we're back. It's the most amazing thing that happened this morning. You know, I've been a lawyer in a number of cases going to what's called a jury view. And some of us old-timers may have remembered it in the O.J. Simpson case where they took juries to the scenes and all. And today, this jury in the trial for the murder of Jessica Chambers and Quentin Tellis went on a jury view. And we were lucky enough to have our own Kathy Russ on there. Kathy, this was your first jury view, right?
This was my first jury view. It was very interesting.
What did you learn? Listen, put yourself as the 13th jury. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you learn?
Okay, the first stop was where she was burned and where the car was burned. And the jurors were very attentive. They walked around a little bit. The interesting thing is the tree that her car was on fire next to, it's a great, big, huge tree, I don't know what kind, is still black to this day and no new growth.
And what else? What else did you notice about that scene?
Okay, so, I mean, other than that, there's not really much to see. It's just a little small part right off the road where the car was pulled over and right in front of a gate that goes down somebody's, like, dirt driveway. The interesting part, this was the most interesting scene for me because Quentin Tellis had a noticeable reaction. His hands were shaking so bad, and he kept wiping his forehead with the tissue, but it was not raining, and so that's when you would see his hands really bad. When he'd go up there, he was very nervous at that scene.
Well, did the jury see that?
Yes, he was in front of them. Wow. I was standing right next to him.
You were next to him, and how was your reaction standing next to him?
You know what? It's a little strange. I didn't get any kind of a creep vibe or anything. He's kind of a petite guy, more than you think. And he was visibly upset. He did not act that way at any other scene we went to today.
Wow. And did the judge, were questions allowed? Because I've been at
yes.
a jury. They were. Wow. I'd like to have my trial this judge. Yeah, tell us.
Yeah. So this is what happened. The lead investigator, Barry Thompson, he was the witness. So at each scene, they had the court reporter there. Prosecution would ask him questions. The defense would ask him questions at each scene. So it was as if he was
like
on the stand.
Give us what question?
Well, they just had him walking through, like, you know, is this where the car was on fire? Do you notice anything different about this area? What time did you get here? You know, and then we'd go to the next scene. So we went to where the keys to her car were found. We went to the M&M gas station where they were both seen on security cam footage all during that day. Across the street from that is where Tellis lived. So this was very interesting. So then we went across the street and stood in the driveway of where his grandma still lives to this day. And I kept watching him closely, and he kept kind of looking back at the home and stuff, and I kept thinking, this must be really surreal for him. He's been locked up.
Kathy, I'm taking you right down to the break here because this is the most interesting. Do you have to be in the courtroom, or can you come back?
No, we're at lunch.
Oh, you're at lunch. This is so interesting to me, and I'm sure all of our listeners and viewers want to hear it. So we're going to have to go to a break, as you know, and then we will be right back in the case of Jessica Chambers. Haven't missed a thing in the Quentin Tellis retrial for the murder of Jessica Chambers, whether he did or not, because our own Kathy Russ on it was at the jury view today. They seldom happen. They happened here. Kathy, you were telling us before about going to the different scenes and Quentin Tellis. Now tell us, what was the jury doing? What was the jury looking at? What was the jury reaction?
So this was interesting. The first site, which is the main site where the burning happened, they were very attentive. They gave them time after the questioning to walk around if they wanted to, and everyone did. They were really into it. Then when we got to some other sites, some were still very into it. Others were kind of just looking around and didn't look quite as interested.
In cases I've had, sometimes the judge allows the jurors to submit a question to the foreperson, if there is a foreperson at that point, and they ask questions. Was that allowed here?
No, the jurors were not allowed to talk at all.
Were they staring at all at Quentin Tellis? Could you tell whether they had like this terrible reaction or what?
No, but I definitely saw a lot of them glance over during the questioning. So they were very aware of him and what he was doing.
Did the defense lawyers get to ask questions?
Yes, yeah.
And like what? Give us the best question you heard the defense lawyers ask.
Not a lot.
Now, come on, you got to be fair here. You know, I'm a defense attorney.
No, hey, I think this is a weak case. So it's not, I'm being totally fair, but I didn't really hear any like aha questions. Yeah. It was kind of just factual stuff, like, these were where the keys were found, but no law enforcement saw the keys there because it was a person that lived there that picked up the keys, and then they called law enforcement for them to come get them, and he had them on the trunk of his car by that point. So they would ask questions like that, like, you didn't see the keys and no member of law enforcement saw them here in this spot, right?
So it's pretty it was pretty fact sensitive
yes,
then, really,
yes.
right? Okay.
Yes, that's exactly it.
You know, this is amazing. Kathy is there. She's going to be there during this whole trial. This is a terrible crime against a female victim of violent crime, but we have to go back because we know you don't want to miss the next thing, which is the Kavanaugh hearings. They are still continuing in Washington, D.C., so we're going to take you right back into, I would say courtroom, but it is not. It is the Senate Judiciary Committee chambers that they're using. I believe it's the Everett Dirksen room.